This is Bedrock Replay. It's a mod that lets you record your world and then play it back later, just like Java Flashback or Replay mod. All you need to do is join the world that you want to record. It can be any server, it can be multiplayer. It can also have any resource or behavior packs. To get started recording, all you need to do is press F9, and then every action you do is fully recorded. So if I were to build up, I were to break blocks, all of it's captured. To end the recording, just press F9 again. It will ask you what you want to save it. I'll just leave the default name. Now, if you leave the world, here you can hit F10. It'll show you a list of all the recordings. Hit replay. To break down the UI, up here you have the top bar. This is where any actions that don't have a dedicated UI go. Over here, you have all of the camera options. You can see your active camera, the aspect ratio to use, and if to auto preview the camera path. Down in the bottom left, you have the timeline. With this button here, you can add new elements into the scene. I'll add a free camera. You can see camera 1. And down here, the transform property is what we can animate. Over here on the right, this is the inspector panel. This top button here shows you your active selection. Here it shows me all of the properties that are animatable for a camera. This orange bit here means that this property is animated. So down here with FOV, if I tick this, then FOV will appear down here. And if I untick it, it will disappear. To move around inside of the viewport, you need to hold down the right click button and it will allow you to move with WASD. Once you let go of right click, it will release your mouse and you can use the UI again. Once you hit play, because I've got auto preview on, it will show me the perspective of this camera here and you can see the player moving. Let's try and animate some kind of movement. I'll head up here and on my keyboard I can press K. That will keyframe the current position and here you can see the movement that the camera's taken. So if we go back to the start, let's press P on the keyboard to play and now you can see the camera moving. Let's add another movement real quick and let's turn off auto preview. Let's add a keyframe here and we can see that the path that the camera will take and we can watch it from third person. At any time in auto preview off, you can head up here, you can go view and hit preview and you can see what the camera sees. When previewing, if you want to stop previewing, you can hold right click and it will release, but the cameras will keep moving. If you can't see these animated lines, you head up here under view and you can turn off and on gizmos. Another thing you can do is you can add an orbit camera. This is a type of camera that's automatically linked to the position of the camera. Let's head into auto preview mode and up here in the top left, this shows you which camera will be previewed. So if we hit play, you can see the camera is locked to the player's position. One thing to note is that everything that is accessible via the UI is also accessible via a menu. You can hit F3 on your keyboard and it will show you a list of every single action you can take. So say we wanted to activate the rule of thirds, we can just type in rule or maybe thirds and you can hit enter and it will activate that mode. One of the core features of this is that if you head up here in view, keyboard shortcuts, you can find any action that you can find in the F3 screen in here. So we can type rule of thirds and we can assign it to a key. Say we wanted to constantly be toggling this on and off. Instead of going through the UI each time, we can just make a keybind for it. And now when I press J, it will toggle on and off. The next thing is the aspect ratio up here. Say you're making vertical short form. You can go up here, you can go 9:16 and it will preview the game in the right aspect ratio. So we could play it here and we can see it's showing you what a camera would export if you exported it in this vertical format. Next is camera animation easing. So down here, we can see my keyframes that I made for this camera here. We can right click any of these properties and here you can see it's set to smooth interpolation. It's doing a nice curve between these 2 points that have been set. But if I wanted a straight line, I could set to linear and it'll go directly to these positions. One thing you may notice, these dots show you how fast the camera is moving at each tick. This can be seen a lot more. If I right click this keyframe here and I set it to a ease in, this means it will go slow at the start and then fast at the end. You can see this here. The dots start off very slow and towards the end they get fast. So let's preview this animation. We'll go to camera 1 and we'll hit play. And we can see it starts really slow and it speeds up towards the end. Say you forgot in your recording to put on the correct skin. You can click on the player, you can hit change skin, you can just click any skin, hit open, and now you're in the correct skin. We can also set up the environment. We can go to this environment tab here and let's set a keyframed time of day. It starts off at 0, so we can come to the end and we can change the time of day. Let's go 20,000, which is night. You can see over time it changes to night. Lastly, before we export the video, we can use these things called in and out points. These are these white brackets on the timeline here. Let's crop out the start of the animation where we kind of don't really do much. So let's set the in point to here. Even though these keyframes are outside of the timeline, it will still resume from where that keyframe would have been. To export the video, let's go export video, let's enter, and it will show us a few options. Here we've got the scope. So because we have 2 cameras in our scene, let's export all cameras in this clip. Let's set the output. It will just set what folder to set it in. We can choose the aspect ratio, the resolution, you can do up to 4K, the frame rate, you can do up to 120 FPS or down to 30, quality, which is what bitrate rate it renders the video at, and if it wants to capture the game audio. As soon as you press start export, it will take you to the rendering screen where you can see all of the clips rendering. Up here in the top right is the list of all of your clips. You can see I've got 2 queued and it's going through the second one now. And the bottom right, it will show you the FPS it's rendering at. And once it's complete, it will say done in the bottom right. So now you open up your folder that you exported it to, and this is the clip from Camel 1. See, it goes through, you can see all the breaking, you can see the time of day changing. We're going to go to our second clip here. This is the one with the orbit camera, and we can see it previewing. And if you hear, you can hear the game audio. So the last thing to show off is in the top left. There's this export project button. If you press this, it will ask you to save a .replay file. This file can be shared with anyone. They'll be able to open up this project even though they weren't the one that recorded it. If you have any questions about this, you can join the project Discord. If you're interested in testing, hopefully they'll be testing further on in the future, especially if you're a marketplace creator. It'd be great to get your input and feedback on this. Obviously, it's still in a point where it's quite buggy. I'm going to start with a smaller test group and then it'll go up in size over time.